My way to Manassas, Virginia. I'm going to take the highway there because there's this Kawasaki event and they're allowing demos. So there's a couple of bikes that I'm very interested in. Manassas Honda. So that's where we're going to go. Okay.
We'll be riding something new with somebody new, so we do want to be safe and respectful of that. When we take out of here, we are going to do our best to stay in that standard staggered riding formation. So that is going to be left, right, left, right.
So all of the other bikes were taken. I think the only one I really would like to try out is the Odysee. This one seems fun to ride, the 1000 SX. So here's the Odysee. I think this is the 1000. Yeah, it looks really good. This one, that's the one I'm going to try and ride, but all the slots are taken up. It's very weird looking. I don't think I like the looks of it too much. Upside down forks. Alright, so this is the this is the bike I'm riding. This is the KLX300. I actually thought about buying one of these, and it's the major competitor for the CRF300. So there is a supermoto version that Greg will be riding, and I'll be riding the dirt version, the dual sport version, and it's got all the blinkers, it's got all the good stuff, and this one is fuel injected. So for the longest time Kawasaki had this bike being carbureted, and now finally it's fuel injected, and I expect it's going to ride very smoothly like a 300. All right, look at that, sitting on it, kind of like a tallish bike, but the suspension is very soft, very soft. I actually like this bike a lot for most dual sporting. Look at that, everybody's ready. Oh, I guess I can start it. Okay. All right, so it's in neutral. You got a digital gauge, the odometer, only 2,000 miles. Suspension is very soft. I think if you're going to do some big off-roading, you want to stiffen up the suspension. But I'm very surprised that this is fuel injected. Of course, they're trying to keep up with the Honda CRF300 now, CRF300L. There we go, there goes the KLX300 Supermoto. Alrighty, look at that, we're off. And we're stuck in traffic. Sitting position, oh man, this is just so tiny compared to the Super Tenere. Alright, actually, very smooth transmission. Very smooth transmission. You will be able to do like a 20-mile ride, which is pretty darn nice. And here we go, we're gonna go to the right. This is a very interesting thumper. It feels pretty good not having a windscreen. I think the big question is, why would you get the KLX300 over the CRF300? For me, I think if there's if this costs less, then I would get it. But the CRF300's got a better resale value because it is a Honda. The engine doesn't sound that good going at this speed. There we go. I think this is a 6-speed transmission as well. It doesn't have like the kick in the pants sort of power. So that's the Kawasaki Z900 RS. How do you like it, man?
Got a lot of power.
Yeah, this one doesn't make a lot of power at all. So modes, you have what? Strip A, Trip B, odometer, and then you have your reset, you have your clock. Very simple bike. There's nothing in here, so it feels like a very antiquated bike. But that's not necessarily a bad thing when you have something antiquated. You have your dummy lights here, you have your engine over there. Very simple. I was kind of shocked to find out that the KLR650 oil filter it's not a cartridge based oil filter. It's just like the paper element that goes in the engine. This one is, I don't know, I like the idea of having a 250 for a dual sport, because most people that are going to be riding, a 250 is perfect. I mean, this thing will get around just fine on a trail. Now, is the 300 worth buying instead of the older 250? So the older 250 from Kawasaki, it's carbureted, and it's been carbureted for a very long time. There we go. Yeah, learning a different bike's clutch is a little bit... This bike actually kind of feels like the engine... I think the valves on this might be a little bit off. I hear a little bit of tapping in the engine. This has got a stock exhaust, so it doesn't sound good. That Z900 sounds good. The 4 cylinders always sound good. This is the type of bike that every time you shift, you have to give it a full throttle and it's not going to go anywhere. So my Ninja 250 felt much smoother. Of course, it was a 2-cylinder. I could not trust this bike on the highway because it is just too slow. It feels slow. It would be nice if we got on the highway so we can see how these bikes behave on the highway, but I think that's fine. I kind of realize that this is a little bit of an underpowered bike for the highway use. Finally, a corner. Yeah, like when it comes to supermotos, you gotta have a little bit more power. Uh-oh. You know, these bikes are effortless to ride. It doesn't require a lot to ride these things. They make great beginner bikes, but I think what I like about the 300s that are out now, in a time where everything is just so complex, it is nice that Kawasaki, for example, is giving people bikes that are simple and just very easy to get and inexpensive. I like the suspension. You can't expect really great suspension on these bikes, and especially like the type of riders that would get this that are overweight. This thing is not meant for an overweight rider at the current suspension specs, so you would have to increase the spring strength. Transmission is very smooth, but I've gotten plenty of Kawasaki's, and it tends to become a little bit vague towards the end. You know, like as you're riding, it gets a little vague, like it doesn't know what gear it's in. Right now with this transmission, it's fine. If you're picking between the CRF300 and the KLX300, I think that's a difficult decision. So it's all just kind of name brand, because they're essentially almost the same bike, but I still prefer the CRF250 just because you can get like a really good used price on it, but not these days anymore. All right, that's the end of the ride. So a pretty fun bike, very underpowered, upside down forks, not very adjustable when it comes to suspension. The fuel injection is pretty decent. It's got a cover for the rear brake caliper. I do like the graphics a lot. So the 250 prior to this was carbureted. This one is fuel injection, and this looks like the same sort of carb that's on the new KLR. That's where the cam chain tensioner is. This tends to go out on a lot of these bikes, but you can get a manual one. Very simple, like this. That kind of looks almost like the Pitster. One of the mods that people will do is they will get hydraulic clutches and they will put them on here, and it works really well. You can get like the Chinese hydraulic clutches really cheap. That's Manassas Honda demo day. They're tearing down. That was the last session, and we'll just do like a quick tour of the inside. Pretty big. Yeah, that looks cool, man. Are you buying this?
No.
1100. So you can get good deals now on the 1000. And that is the end of Kawasaki Good Times demo tour. Well, that's the Kawasaki demo day. That was excellent. It was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me.